The Deepwater Horizon oil spill was one of the worst environmental disasters on the planet, but scientists, they're doing all they can to learn from it in case this would ever happen again. That research is actually happening right here in our own backyard. NBC6 meteorologist Angie Lassman saw that research firsthand. Angie, tell us more.
Yeah, Roxy, you said it. Deepwater Horizon oil spill, one of the worst in American history. And 10 years ago this month, 11 workers were killed. 210 million gallons of oil spewed into the Gulf of Mexico, spanning 92,000 miles. Now, BP was fined billions, but they also committed to funding 10 years of research, much of that happening at the University of Miami.
We were contacted because we have the ability here to work on open water fish, and we have experience with toxicology.
Led by Dr. Martin Grossell, the Rosenstiel School at UM has been leading the way on oil spill research.
The spill started in 2010. We started working on it late 2010, October, and we've worked on it ever since to address some of these more, perhaps deeper questions about what happens to these marine organisms when they're exposed to oil.
While most other studies focused on coastal species, Grossell's research consortium called Recover focused mainly on fish in the open ocean, specifically Mahi-mahi.
We started working with the Mahi-mahi, brought them into captivity, and essentially developed them as a model organism for assessing the impacts of Deepwater Horizon oil spill.
The Recover team catches mahi off the Florida shore and breeds them in their aquaculture tanks on Virginia Key.
We then utilize those in all different tests and studies looking at the adverse effects of crude oil on this pelagic species.
Mahi of all ages are then introduced to oil, the effects studied carefully under the microscope and even on a mahi treadmill.
We've done studies with them in swim chamber accelerometers, and we see that at very low concentrations we do see decreases in their performance.
We've learned that, aside from the fact that they have very high growth rates, that they are very, very sensitive to stresses in the environment, including oil. So if the embryo is exposed to oil, they will grow up with reduced heart function. Their heart is just not functioning as well. They will be less able to see. They're not entirely blind, but they have poor vision, and their sense of smell can also be impacted. And one of the things we've learned about mahi, which is just mind-blowing in my opinion, is the embryos are sensitive to UV light. So what we've learned on mahi probably applies to most, if not all, pelagic fishes across the world, which is a pretty big deal.
Tag number 714.
The Recover team has also tagged mahi in the wild, studying their spawning and migration patterns in the Gulf and in the Atlantic.
The dart goes into the dorsal musculature of the fish, and then the tag kind of just like swims alongside. So these tags are one of the tools that we have to learn more about what habitats they use and how they migrate in the wild.
The Recover team believes understanding oil toxicity to mahi and other marine life is critical to science's response to future disasters.
If we don't understand how the animals respond to change in the environment, it's very hard for us to make predictions about what's going to happen to stocks in the future, for example. We are now better prepared to understanding what's going to happen in the next oil spill. It's a matter of where and when that's going to happen. It will happen. When that happens, we're prepared. We know a lot more than we did going into the Deepwater Horizon oil spill.
Yeah, that preparation may be even more necessary. Currently, the Trump administration is proposing a major expansion of oil drilling in the Gulf and in the Atlantic, while rolling back safety regulations in place because of the Deepwater Horizon explosion. Angie Lassman, NBC6 News.